Be ready to change yourself. Be ready to challenge your better self. Know that your mind can develop a passionate winning spirit, but not by yourself. We guarantee your family in love with your life, and you're gonna love all the grind. Lewis and Bars together, we develop your mindset with vitamin C for your mind. Don't you settle with what you know. There's much to learn, there's much to earn. Tell yourself I'm ready to fight, ready to be heard. Out of success and awakening rise. There's so many words that turn into prices. Be ready to change for the best. Step up and be great. Don't be like the rest. Develop your mindset.
Hi everyone, my name is Varuj and this is Develop Your Mindset podcast. And today we have a guest, Storai and Luis, with us again. We're gonna talk about a road trip that our dear friend here that we really respect and love, that she decided to take this long trip for a month with her car, driving around states. And we thought this is like really good story to bring forefront, because since these trips are not done every day, these are very sacred trips. When it comes down to it, we decide really internally that it's important to do what we have to do, like leave our work and our comfort zone and just go out there, venture and learn stuff, new things, new ideas, meet people, see new places, and just become better version of ourselves, like better people. And I thought this is like such a good story that we should put out there even before she leaves and comes back, because I feel like the fact that someone decides to take a trip like that and make a whole month of off, it's such a dear thing to someone. So I'm gonna say, like, she's a friend here and in jewelry district. You guys, as you know, I'm a master jeweler, and also she is a jeweler and she works in the industry, and we worked together before. We know her pretty closely, and I know what she's about, and this is gonna be good. We're gonna talk about such amazing good things. And I think pretty much I have a lot of points where I want to touch on, and a lot of really good questions we're gonna go over. So I'm pretty much ready. Do you have a few words, Luis, before we jump to all the questions?
I'm pretty excited to hear what Storai has to share for us, and let's go ahead and get started.
All right, let's do that. So welcome, Storai, and we have a few questions for you, and I think this is gonna be good for me. I want to learn what kind of trip you're gonna go and where to and how and everything, how you did it before you even leave. This is such a good information for me. I'm very curious about this one. So one thing I wanted to ask you in the beginning is, like, why is the first thing it comes in mind, right? So why you chose to do a solo trip? So what was it that it made you to, like, really stop in your place and then, like, come to this why? Maybe we want to learn this.
Sure. Yeah. First, I want to be polite enough and thank you both for making it happen, because it's such a good thing for me too, because now I can see the whole trip and I can
becoming real.
Exactly, like to see how it feels and everything, and sharing it with you guys. It's already a fun thing to do. So thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
And so the reason I did solo, and the reason is because I just wanted time off. And what I mean by that is, like, when you go with somebody else, you're always like, you need to take care of somebody else, and you need to see, like, what they want, or if they are enjoying the same way you are, or if they like this or not, or if they don't like it. So it's like you always try to please somebody. Mm-hmm. So you can be yourself even when you go with somebody else, but when you're alone, you just get a time off. So if you're feeling it, you're feeling it for yourself. If you're happy, you're happy. If you're sad, you're sad. So the whole time you're just dealing with your emotion, and you get to face them. Because we are not as strong. I don't know if you guys believe in that. But what happens is when we feel weak, we reach out to somebody else just to not face
Comfort.
ourselves. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So imagine if you're in the middle of somewhere with nobody, no reception,
Yes.
and you're facing your trauma. You don't have anywhere else to go. So you're just like, okay, what
right.
else? You know what
So
I mean? You
true.
have to like face it. And I've done like a short trip before, and it was Utah. So I was like 11 days out in Utah canyons for a while. And that was life-changing already, because I was very emotional, but I didn't had any emotional support. So I learned how to support myself and feel better by myself without asking for any help from somebody else.
That must be a
because-
lot of experience for you.
I mean, yeah.
It's crazy, yeah.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is like for me to figure out what I really want. So that was the reason I chose solo. I mean, it would be fun with friends too. I'm down to do that too. It's not that I'm against that. But it's just like I think solo trips are more about yourself. And it was time for me to take time for myself.
So it's
And-
more about like self-discovery and
Exactly, and you get some time to just like feel,
Okay.
and even if you feel sad, I just want to feel whatever I want to feel, and that I can just do it when I'm alone.
Yeah, one thing I really got out of what you just said that made me imagine, like, personally I know a lot of people when I was younger and to this age that people didn't like to go out of their. We used to say with my brothers, and I used to say too, like, they don't like to go out of their borders. Like they have this in their mind, this border where they don't like to go out of that border. That's their comfort zone. Like whether it's like 10 miles, whatever, and they stay there for a long time, years and years, right? And then a lot of people, they find themselves, they're stuck with someone that they don't enjoy or they don't want to be with, but it's so comfortable that they're like 20 years pass and they're still stuck in that
True.
environment, in that, like, whether if it's a spouse or it's a husband, wife, or like like workplace or whatever they may be. Like there's got to be one point where you're going to be like, I had enough, something like that,
Very true.
like and so like the why, I guess that's what you're describing. You're like and like I can do this type of.
Yeah, exactly. But I have a little bit of touch on that. So, for example, you said that we are stuck, and I felt like that my whole life. I was stuck, and I was like, I need to do something that makes me happy. So what I did, I always followed what my father told me, that, oh, this is how you should live, and that's a happy life. You have to do education, you have to get certain jobs, you have to get married, you have to have babies, and that's a perfect good life. You know what I mean?
Right.
So what happened was
For who?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what happened was I was just following the steps. And then finally I came to a point, I was like, but wait, I'm just following. I'm not me. I'm
Yes.
depressed. Maybe certain things that they want me to
Yeah.
do, I don't want to do it, simply. And that was the time that I was like, oh, now I see why I was depressed. I still have depression. But
Are
it's
we
like way more mild than before.
Yeah, we all do, but like you learn how to work through it.
Exactly.
That's the key word.
Yeah.
Work through it. You don't get stuck in your depression.
That's true.
So you said something like, as humans, we like to like create things, to make things happen. Like that makes us alive, right? When we create something, it's such a good feeling. Like it could be something small, it could be something like machine that wasn't working, and suddenly, boo! Like, oh my God, you
It's
feel
working,
so
yes.
good about that. Like, so as a human, we like to always like create things and to like build things, and we thrive in that environment. And and that you learn so much about yourself also when you do that, and then you learn so much about like making things right and make things work and go, and you slowly become valuable doing that.
Yeah.
But like the thing is, what I'm trying to say is like, as a human, you said you're like doing the same thing got you into kind of like depression mode, and you want to break through that.
Exactly.
So breakthrough is such an important thing to do for all of us. Like, as it doesn't matter how young, how old you are, breakthroughs are such an important thing for a human being, right? Are you expecting this to be like some kind of like that kind of trip for you? Did you design it that way, or is that something in your...
I mean, I've done few stuff in my life that I break through already.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I moved from Afghanistan all by myself to United States. That was like a
That's-
big breakthrough for me.
And no parents, of course.
And no parents, nobody. I just moved
That's-
by myself to United States, and I always followed my heart, and I always wanted to do something in my life. So that part is done in a way. But this journey is just going with an open heart and seeing what life brings me. I have no, like, I don't have any expectations of like, oh, I need to go to this trip so I can figure out who I am. Because the whole journey will make me who I am already. With the
Totally.
flaws, you know what I mean?
Build over your character.
Exactly. So what I'm doing is right now is I don't have like certain expectations. The whole thing that I have is to get done with the trip and be like, okay, I achieved something when I was 28, and I was able to face my fears of like being alone for 35 days in the road and doing nothing else, and don't have like complete plan for everything, you know what I mean? So it's a kind of like no expectation to it. It's just like facing it, basically.
So you're describing this when you left Afghanistan, or your expectation is for this trip?
No, it's for this trip. When I
Okay.
left Afghanistan, I had like huge expectation of like, oh, I want to be a famous jewelry designer. I want to be very well-known person. I was a lot about into like money, industry, fame, and stuff like that.
Which all
But-
of them are important.
Which is very important, I'm not saying, but everybody has like different priorities.
Yeah.
So what happened was I followed it. Yes, I made it happen. I came to jewelry industry by myself. I made it happen. I'm pretty successful. I work with few very good companies already. I am comfortable. I get paid good. Everything is like fine.
Yes.
But I realized that, wait, but is that something that I really want? And now I'm going through a time that I'm like, okay, I need to be more in nature. I need to hang out with people more because I'm young now. I can do stuff now, and I don't want to regret it when I'm older. And I'm like, oh, I wish I would have done this, but I was so stuck in industry life that I didn't get a chance to do anything in my life. And basically it's out of fear of feeling that I didn't do enough in my life. I don't know if it
think
makes sense.
this is what I think. I've done a bunch of trips for me in the past. What happens is like you start with with different expectations, right? Like what you just said, like fear of missing out.
Yeah.
But like once you get on the road, as soon as you live 30-40 miles out from LA, we live in Los Angeles. As soon as you live away from where you live, suddenly something changes, right? Something changes in the air. Like
Yeah,
your
that's
demeanor,
true.
your thinking, you're like, okay, I'm not going back home to sleep. That I'm gonna sleep on my
Yeah,
bed.
true,
And then
true.
now it's real. Now
That's
you're
true.
like your focus changes, and that's such an amazing feeling. I love that feeling. Like every time I did one of those trips.
Yeah, that's very true.
And then like all this like fear of missing out, all these like thoughts that you have, it has no meaning now.
Yeah.
You have to like be out there, and then be one with yourself, and then in your thoughts, like
Yeah.
in your mind, and then try to do the right decisions and all that. So like something else takes over, you know. It's such an amazing feeling. So
How about
Whoa,
you?
whoa.
So now I'm gonna ask you a question.
Or you're gonna.
I'm gonna take over.
he's really good in answering. You
Yes.
can go ahead and
Okay.
answer.
So I don't know if it's gonna work that way.
You can go ahead and
podcast
ask.
is that way or
That's-
not.
that's-
But I
Yeah,
think
you
it's,
can go
it's
ahead.
more natural that way.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
So what would you do if you were instead of me, and if you would have started the whole trip? So what's the first thought coming to your brain?
I mean, honestly, it sounds like you got a lot of courage to be doing this. Trip because, honestly, I mean, I personally have not left LA ever since I was born.
Yeah.
I've always been here, and that's because I've never really like taken into consideration like taking trips or just leaving here because I'm pretty comfortable here. Like I'm just like I guess more of an introverted guy, so like I enjoy doing things that are like closed in, like such as like studying, reading, working with computers and stuff like that, so I enjoy that. I find a lot of fulfillment in that, and like I've never really looked out to see if like a trip itself could actually change a part of me or enhance a part of me or anything like that, and but if I was in your, I mean, it does sound quite exciting, and probably after this podcast, I might even, start thinking about doing something like that sometime in the future. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy, and I actually wanted to ask you something though.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you,
Go ahead.
I actually wanted to ask you like why choose to do a trip instead of doing anything else? Because I figured there's other methods to be able to do like self-discovery and to be able to get that happiness and
True.
and fulfillment. There's other things that you can do, other approaches. So why do a solo trip instead of those other things?
I can
A
answer
very
that. Go ahead.
a very good question actually. But you actually asked it the different way, but he asked it differently.
No, I totally get his question.
A very good question. When I was doing this, actually, my friend asked me the same thing. He was like, "Why you're doing a trip? Why you're not doing something else? Because you have the budget. You can do something else. You can do skydiving. You can do, for example,
would
go
do
to
the
Big Bear
skydiving.
and do something else, right?"
Yeah, I think we should do it.
I would do the skydiving actually.
I would do
Exactly. So he asked me the same question, and I answered that I want to feel small. And what I mean by that is like I want to keep driving, and I want to see how big the world is and how small my problem is. I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes sense.
And I just want to like go and go and go and go miles and miles, 1,000 miles, 2,000 miles, 3,000 miles, and meet people, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And you meet people, you talk to them, you hear about their trauma, you get out of like your small
Bubble.
circle and you get to talk to them. I just want to feel small. That's
Right.
one of the reasons I want to do a trip instead
Okay,
of doing
so-
anything else.
So from what I understood, so you want your problem to be, you want to see your problem like it's a small thing, it's insignificant, or like sort of like, are you? Let me see.
I
I
mean,
don't want to go deep there, but like,
No, you
but
can-
like,
you can go as
are you
deep as
trying
you
to
want.
like cover up the problem, or
Um,
or run away from it by doing this trip, or is it like a trip from inspiration? Do you truly enjoy meeting these people, or is it for like to sort of like replace something, a great, enormous, quite of an adventure?
very good question.
I told you when he
It's-
goes.
I know you were like quiet,
I
and
know.
now he's like giving me good questions, which I
Every
love.
Saturday he gives a run.
Yes.
So what you
For
say
me.
it's
Which is a
so what
perfect
you-
question.
So would you say it's more of a distraction, or is it something that you actually find inspiring?
I can explain this very good actually because I already gone through it. So I used to have a lot of problems, and I used to have like traumas that I had to deal, a lot of unpacking, a lot of stuff that I wasn't agreeing with. So I would do alcohol and do like, let's say, nightclubs, party, having a circle of friends that's always happy and always in the party mood. I would say that that was distraction for me instead of facing it. Trip is not distracting because you get a time just to relax, and meeting people, it's not distracting from your problems because you get to expand your view of problems. I don't know if it makes sense. So what I would say, like, for example, if I want to distract myself, I would distract with alcohol, or let's say sleeping with somebody, or party, or
Watch
just
a funny movie.
or a movie or something else, you know what I mean? But if I want to face myself, then I would take time off and keep driving and be by myself, read books, meet people. And no, in that sense, no, I'm not escaping the problem, because if I would escape, then I would do other stuff, which I have already done it.
So your question, the initial question, basically what happens is like when someone's taking this kind of trip, it's like you know how it is, like you watch a coach on your computer, and then you go meet these people. It's completely different, because now you're using your five senses. You're not using just like your ears or your eyes. You're actually feeling the air. You're actually feeling the emotions, the energy in the room. Like this happens when you take these trips. Like when I say 30 miles later everything changes, 30 miles out, that's what the energy changes, your mindset changes, your demeanor, your thing, everything. And so you go out like 2 weeks later, she probably gonna injure her finger or something. She's gonna bring that back home. She's gonna look at it. She's gonna remember exactly how it happened, where it happened, why it happened. And these things, you cannot buy these things in the market. No coach can tell you this. These things, the experience you bring back home.
True.
With you, and other things, everything else you guys talked about also. So it's very important to like really put yourself in an experience place, you know, and take that, and then that develops you. You know, after all, this is develop your mindset podcast. So we're talking about development. So that definitely develops yourself.
Sure.
I just have another question after that.
Go for it.
Go for it.
So how do you actually find this to be relaxing and rejuvenating? That's because you see, like, I don't know about you, but you seem to be more of an extroverted person who likes to be more out there, kind of enjoy talking to people, meeting new, getting to know, like, getting comfortable with like new cultures and stuff like that, you know. And you seem to be that way too.
I do.
But how? What would you say to somebody who doesn't find those things like appealing, and who doesn't find those things relaxing? Like someone like me, I wouldn't find something like that actually relaxing. I would find it more like something something more like I would do to of course improve myself. But then at that point, you know, it becomes like a hustle. It becomes like a grind, not something that I find relaxing, but something.
I have a perfect question for that. But she's gonna go first.
but more like something that I would have to do in order to push myself to become better. Yeah. Just like anything else that I would like, you know, use to.
I know exactly what you're saying.
But like,
yeah, me too. Yeah, totally. Which is very important actually.
It is where he is very important.
Yeah, so which is very important.
So what would you say to those people that don't find these things like relaxing? Like, where does it come from? What's the mindset that?
Right.
So I would say that totally everybody is different, and everybody enjoys something, and some people are comfortable talking with people, some people are not. I get that. But there's level to it. So what I mean is I'm stressed too. I'm nervous too. I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it. I don't know if I'm going to relax. You know what I mean?
Willing to.
But I want to go and see if I'm going to relax. I want to go and see if I can meet people, because the whole time I have this idea in my brain.
You heard that before from me.
So the whole time, like, I had this idea of like, oh, this road trip sounds good. Taking a month off sounds good, but it's fucking scary. You know what I mean? Totally. I don't want to do it. What if? So then I start practicing. I was like, at least I should see. And I should feel. And in case if it didn't work, then I will come back and I would be like, okay, this is not my thing. You know what I mean? So I would say that the mindset is to just get out of your comfort zone. even though if it's a small step, if it's a big step, maybe for me it's cross country, maybe for you it's going to Pasadena and coming back. You know what I mean? Or for somebody else it's like going to a mall and coming back. Like small steps, whatever you feel like it. Like, because everyone is different, and you cannot expect, oh, this is cool, like she's doing cross country, even though this is not for me, I'm gonna do the same thing because it's good. You can do anything. I started from, because I came from Afghanistan, it's like a war country. I don't know how much you guys know about it. So it's a war country.
Yes.
The first thing that I did that was like very rebel and I felt good was biking in my country. Not a lot of people bike in my country, and that was like very simple for here, but I was feeling so good.
Wow.
So that was
Oh
like
my
a
God.
baby step. You know what I mean? Like baby step. And then the next thing I did that, so I was like, okay, what next?
Oh yes.
So it's like it starts, but you have to
It's
start.
It's a seed.
Start
You've
with
planted.
something. Be like, okay, this is uncomfortable. I don't feel like it. And then the first question I ask is, have you done it? Why you think you don't like it? So that's why
That's
now,
so true.
now instead of just saying like, oh, I don't like this, I do it, and then I say I don't like this. For example, I did alcohol, and then now I say I don't like it. And then
Yeah.
if people are like, why you don't like it? Because I've done it a lot.
Right.
And I
Right.
know that I don't like it. But without doing it, if I say it, then it just doesn't fell into place. I don't know if it makes sense.
That's a very good response.
Yeah?
I like
All
it.
right.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay, he's satisfied.
But you go too, because I'm curious. What are you going to say?
So rephrase it for me, like really summarize it really quickly.
So he was asking, which was beautiful question. He was asking like, you might think that whatever you're doing is relaxing for you, but what if it's not relaxing and if it's not fun for somebody else? Which I totally get it, because I have a lot of friends that they don't like whatever I do, and I have a lot of friends that I don't like whatever they do, and I don't find it relaxing.
I think my question was going to be somewhere in the line of what you said, but like the reason I said, remember I said that a lot because like I used to have this thing where doing my jewelry work was like I would promise my clients, customers that, oh yeah, it's going to be perfect, don't worry, I'll get it done. And then in the end I'll see their face that something's wrong, like they're not liking this. And then that made me stop saying that. The reason I stopped saying that because I want to finish the piece, then see if it works, they like it, then I'm like, okay, I'm glad you like it. I don't jump the gun. Like I learn how to not open my mouth.
Totally.
Like just do it. Do your best. Meanwhile, you can always like go over it and then whatever it takes. So something it's not true. It hasn't come in intuition, like in reality, in real life. It's hard to tell. You always have to go after it and do it and try it and fix it. Put your best into it. We believe in getting coaches and mentors. Whatever you have to do, just get it and then try it. If it doesn't work, then it's not for you. Maybe mechanic is for you. It's not the computer. But you have to figure out these things. What's good for you.
So ultimately, like in summary, it would be like like you said, like it's a self-discovery journey, pretty much. You're trying to figure out
there.
like
in every level you are, just get out of that comfort zone, and that will you will realize that you can get it, even though if it's small, even though if it's like, oh, I don't think I can go to Venice Beach right now and have a bonfire. I don't think so. That's not very practical. It's late. It's 8 o'clock. No, I don't do it. But what if you're like, hey, it's 8 o'clock. I will do it because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Okay, so I'm going to do it. It's perfect time.
Yeah.
So it's like the whole thing is like you just start getting out of your comfort zone. And the more you do that,
Mindset.
the more you enjoy it. You know what I mean? I don't know if it makes sense or not.
Yeah, well, the reason I asked that question was because you see, well, for the viewers, like there's there's got to be a good reason to step out of that comfort zone. Like most people will not step out of that comfort zone unless there's a big promise, a big reward. There's a very good reason to do that. Because let's just use this example right now for going to Venice Beach at 8 o'clock. Yeah. All right. So, okay. So you step out of your comfort zone and you go and you go, right? But you can do other things instead. How about for somebody who already has a purpose, somebody who's already, who knows, who's going after something and they're going at it really hard? Would that be something that's convenient for them? Or should they, because they can use that time to do some other things? Like, why would somebody, they just say you, for example, why would somebody take off an entire month to do something like this when they can do other things that are probably more productive, can probably move them forward, and if they have a purpose in life too, why wouldn't they do that instead step out of the comfort zone and do something like this?
Again, a very good question, but it's very simple. Everybody has different priorities. So right now what I'm talking about is for people who are going through the stuff similar to me. You know what I mean? Because if my priority right now is to relax, to explore, to feel small, to meet people, and to not know what I'm doing tomorrow because I'm tired of it. So when I moved to LA and I started working for jewelry industry, it was tiring. I would work 10 hours, 11 hours a day. And that day I didn't have a purpose. And what I mean by that, so everybody has different priorities, and I do respect everybody's priorities. If you want to get successful, for example, if you want to fill your bank account, then I'm not the person to talk about it. Because right now I have money in my bank account and I'm like, fuck it, I don't need it. I need to feel happy. I need to feel connected. I need to unpack a lot of trauma. So for me, my priorities are different. But that, for example, if somebody wants to be productive, or if somebody wants to work and somebody needs money, or they are stressed about having a good career, then it's not my place to make any comment. Because I've done those parts too. Like, I've gone through it. I have worked my ass off. I've worked so much, and I'm tired of it, simply. And I just want to change the whole concept now. Because I think I told you guys. So let's say I had $5,000. And for me, it was like a good startup for my business. I could have created like 5-10 samples of my collection, and I wanted to start. And I knew that it would go really good. I knew that. But then I took a step back. I was like, what I really want. And then I realized that I am turning 28 and I haven't had a lot of good time for myself, and I haven't had fun, and I haven't relaxed. So I was like, no, that 5,000 goes to me, not for my business, not for my money, nothing. So everybody has different priorities. But if you want me to fill that up, then I'm not the right person. And I don't want to make any comment in it because it's just not me. It's just simply not me. And if somebody, like, even when I meet somebody who's a lot into money and stuff, I totally respect that, because I do get it that they have priorities. It was me 5 years ago that I was like, I don't care. Nothing makes me happy. My career makes me happy. My business makes me happy. And when I achieved everything, I'm like, oops, no, that doesn't make me happy. Now I have to change the whole concept.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Letting go is a very powerful thing.
That was very good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Letting go of that money is, it's a powerful thing, and the money is a byproduct of your experiences, your values, and the value that you bring in the workplace and everything. So the money will come back. It's not a problem. The experience.
Let's hope for it. if my boss fires me, then I'm struggling again.
Maybe that was supposed to happen. I believe when you go there, you're definitely going to learn the culture, and you're definitely going to learn
and so many other things
where you really are.
Which I'm excited. I'm excited to come back and be in this podcast and be like, You see, I told you I'm gonna come back this way, and I achieved it.
Yeah.
Or
You're gonna come with so many stories.
or
I would love to hear
maybe
those.
not.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
No, I think
maybe
you are.
I'll just go and it will be a very mild trip, no surprises, nothing. I'll come back and be like, oh, it was chill.
The reason who I am is part of it is because of all those trips. I
Yeah.
don't forget. I've met so many people.
Yeah.
I've done so many things. Like my car broke down. I've met people, the mechanic people. My RV broke down. I mean, like non-stop. You meet
You know-
people, and people. We need people to like get influence from,
Yeah.
especially when they're not from your environment. It's another environment. So
You know-
you're gonna learn so much.
Yeah, exactly. How much I have grown in a month just preparing for this trip.
Right.
You should have asked me like questions like jumpers for the car, batteries, snow chain, stuff like that. I had no idea. Now I know the car system. I know I need snow chains. I know that I need jumpers. I know that how things works. I know how Ford Fiesta work. What's the size of tire? How much space I have?
Oh, totally.
Everything.
You know what you know what you're describing. We know that things could happen in our lifetime. Also, like we live in an earthquake zone state, and if something, God forbid, something bad happens like that earthquake, and you're gonna know how to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And some more people.
Exactly.
I am ready. You open my garage. It's
Everything
ready.
is ready,
I
yeah.
can live weeks without electricity, without whatever. I have everything
Yeah.
ready for it. So that's a really good thing to learn. Actually, there are courses out there. You go out there and then like learn how to survival guide. Like that kind of
Exactly.
deal. So that's what you're describing, and that's such a like good benefit.
I just want to touch up a little bit more. So even though, like, for example, when I was planning on the road trip, I went to this, let's say, how can you survive, whatever you said, in 5
There's
days,
no
because I'm going
supermarket.
I'm going through stuff, so I have to have enough food. For example, okay, what foods are good for you to have a little bit and survive longer?
Right.
So, like, your whole view expands, your whole knowledge expands. And 2 months ago, I had no idea about anything. And 2 months later, here I am. For example, I know which foods are good, which vitamins are good, restroom situations, and everything else, like small stuff in the car and everything. Sleeping bags, which one is warmer, which one is good, which one is not good. Tents, where I want to go, RV parkings, everything. So you get to learn way more just by going to this road trip. So you just keep expanding your view.
Awesome. Yes, those are all valid points and very important. Like what I would recommend is like once a week, if you could get a small room where you can go and get yourself cleaned up and then
I
continue.
know.
That
I
would
have to
be
do that.
really good. Yeah.
I have to do that.
Yeah, I've been there.
So for me, I'm not actually staying in the car. So I'm planning to do like either sleep or not, but I'm doing like hostels.
Right.
And if I cannot find hostel, I create a Google Doc.
Hmm.
And I already shared it with all my friends, and I'm like, hey, listen, if you know anybody in the town, or if your friends of friends knows anybody in the town, I'm a very responsible person, I'm clean, I understand boundaries, just let me take shower, and if you're very nice, then you can feed me too. So and I already found 4 people who are already
Oh, wow.
hosting me in Chicago, in New York, in Cleveland, in Idaho, which is like very surprising. And everybody's like, oh, come crash at my place and you can take
Awesome.
shower and we can feed you too.
Oh wow.
So which is a
So
good
awesome.
thing. Yeah.
That's gonna be such a great experience for you.
Yes, I'm excited.
Awesome. So, pretty much those are the states you're gonna be doing the trip.
Ooh, I have a list. I
Yeah.
have to go through a list every time I go. But I'm doing all the upper states. So I start from here, I go Nevada, and then I go, I don't know how many I will forget because it's a lot. Then I will go Oregon, and then I will go Washington, and then I will come back to Idaho, Wyoming, Nebraska, Illinois, and then I will go New York. I think I passed Ohio. I'll go New York, and then I'll come back down to New Jersey, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and then Georgia, Alabama, Texas, and then I don't know how much I met. I missed a lot of it.
Make sure you go to Florida.
I'm not doing Florida actually.
I love that state. It's such a
No,
beautiful
you know the
state.
reason I'm not doing Florida because it's very off.
It
So
is.
I have to
It
leave
is.
all the
You have
loop
to
and
go
I have to
in
go
and back
down.
out.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like passing that, but I come back to New Mexico and then Arizona and then back to home.
What do you expect from the journey to bring home with you? Like, that's something interesting, because when you come back, we're gonna look back and see, like, so what people go through when they're preparing to go to a this caliber journey, and then because our minds make all these stories and then we believe in it if we're not paying attention. So I'm very careful about that. What my mind's telling me, it's not 100% true for me.
True, yeah.
And the best thing is how we said earlier, like, to prove yourself before you open your mouth, that if this is true, this is what you like. So this is something like that also, you know, like what is like what are you going to bring home with you is from your journey is something like, what are you expecting, and we're going to talk about when you come back.
One of the things that I have in mind is to come back at peace. But the beautiful part is that I have no idea. I don't know what I'm gonna bring. Maybe I'm gonna come back even worse. Maybe I'm gonna come back and be like, oh my god, the world is so beautiful, and I'm stuck in this whole mindset of like working like a machine.
You're gonna become traveler.
And I'll just be like, I'm packing my bags and bye, guys. You know what I mean? Or I'm gonna come back and be like, oh my god, life is so boring. 30 days in the nature. I have no idea.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm gonna go do it to see what I really want. So it's like, nothing to bring back, but I hope to bring back peace. Because I think at the end of the day, everybody's fighting for peace.
It's internal peace.
Yeah.
And then,
So-
and then it will resonate outwards.
Definitely.
Definitely. I was watching this one girl, like a podcast, and she was talking about her journey. And she's like, I took a trip for a week, and it ended up being 3 years.
Yeah.
And she had
that's what
only
I'm saying.
money for 1 week, and she was out there for 3 years until she came back. I was like, are you crazy? Like, is this crazy, or like, are you crazy? Or I don't know. But like, she was telling this story.
Yeah, that's exactly what I told my boss. I was like, I'm taking a month off, and I hope it doesn't go until 1 year or 2 years, because I'm so exhausted.
Oh my God.
I'm so
Can you imagine?
exhausted.
You're like, you're gonna sell your car and get a backpack.
I know.
Just go for it.
It's like I'm so exhausted and I'm so caught up in a lot of emotions that I think that maybe I'm just too tired, and maybe it's something that I want to just be far away. So that's why I took a month off. And taking a month off, you guys know jewelry industry and every industry and how we are caught up. Even though if you're in school, if you're not working, if you're at home, you're caught up in something. So the reason I took a month off, and it was very hard for me to take a month off because I'm not getting paid. My boss is not happy. I mean, of course, my company is not happy, and all the other customers I have not happy, and everything else. I'm not happy at the end of the day because I'm losing money. But in the meantime, it's like I'm doing it, and I will get something out of it, or maybe not.
You will, definitely. When you go this kind of caliber trip, one thing you have to understand, like the viewers too, like when you come back, it takes you a while. It's not like you come back, you go to work immediately, you're focused and you're working, you're productive, and it takes a while. Not only the month you're out, most likely it's going to take you another 2-3 weeks until you get back into the cycle.
Definitely.
You know, like even if I took 5 days trip, came back. It took me 2-3 days until I can get back to my,
Yeah.
like
Very
by end
true.
of the week, I feel like I'm like, okay, I'm getting productive.
I'm
it's a cycle.
simply like very workaholic person, and I do understand that about me. So when I did the Utah trip for 11 days, and when I came back, when I walked into my office, I got emotional, and I was feeling to work again. And I was like, I want this. You know what I mean? Because that's like part of me too in the meantime. I never did like 30 days or plus. So I don't know if I'm going to come back and be like, oh my God, industry, I will never leave you again. Or never come back.
I don't think you'll ever say that.
Yeah, so I'm going to see.
I got emotional today. I'm getting emotional too. It's not easy to handle all this shit that you're creating, and you have focus and trying to make this shit like you've put so much effort, time in something that you don't want to go wrong, because
Sure.
doing it over again, it's almost like you feel such a loser and failure. You know, but like we know that things can go wrong, and I mean, it's a failure is part of the success. And but then again, you know. But like taking off and like doing something different is such a crucial thing for me. That's so important. That's why I find myself finding half-ass working machines from OfferUp, and I go buy them for $200. And I end up spending $300-400 just to make them like work, and I just want to get out of this mindset. I just want to do something else. Like I'm like so exhausted, so tired of doing the same thing over
It's
and
human
over.
nature. You always want something new.
But like what you're doing is like amazing. Like such a courage. To get out of your daily crazy chores, and it's gonna be good. We're gonna learn so much from you.
Let's see. I'm learning from you guys a lot of things already.
Yeah, we're gonna
That's a good
learn so much. Totally. My next question is gonna be like, how are you going to spend your time during this trip?
Ooh, again a good question.
Yeah.
So many good questions. I'm planning to read books. That's something I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm driving most of the time, obviously, because I have to.
You can listen to books also when you drive.
I can listen to books too,
Download
but I
stuff.
rather read them. And I listen to music. That's something that I do. And in the meantime, I wanna just go and hang out with local people. And what I mean by that is just go and see if there's event going. There's this app called Meetup, which makes everything way easier. And it's like
is amazing. Yeah, there's so
it's
many
like
nice good
exactly,
apps out
and
there.
then you just go and see group of people are doing something, and you just go join them, or you just show up, and even meeting somebody in the store, and you're like, hey, what is popular here? What do you guys do?
Totally.
And then you get to learn from them. And for me, I'm mostly like nerd person, so I would go for example, if there is any person who's making yogurt, I just want to
Right.
see that.
Yeah.
Or if somebody's like into bikes and making bikes, and I'm like, oh, how do you do it? So let's do it together. I can help you with this. I can do this. So
Yeah.
it's like I want to leave, like certain times are already taken by me driving, eating, sleeping, and reading books and those stuff. But I have almost like 7 hours in each city, which is not that much.
Not that much at all.
So what I'm doing with that 7 hours is just like use the local bus, talk to people, and ask them like, what is popular here? What is your food? What is your dish? What do you cook? Where's your favorite bakery? I don't like, with those stuff, I never go based on like stars and stuff like, oh, Instagram or anything like that. Like that's very cliche for me. So I don't want to like follow whatever somebody else did. Like it's a food step. I just want to create my own experience the way I crave it to be. I don't know if it makes sense.
So two things. One is like we understand, we know, we've learned very well that we need, people have everything that you need. So when you have to be very close to, like, to people, going asking That's one thing we like what you said was very relevant. The other thing is, are you gonna document your journey? Like, is there any way that we can like see pictures or videos, like Instagram, Facebook?
So I don't have Instagram and I don't have Facebook.
Okay.
And the reason I deleted it, it was like long time ago, and I just wanted to focus on myself and being
Awesome.
Yeah, because social media kind of like fucked up my brain, and I was always like comparing
do
my
that for you.
happiness to somebody else's.
Yeah.
And I want to do the same thing with my trip. I don't want to post like every 10 minutes and be like, oh, I'm here, I'm doing this, how
Right.
amazing this. But I do want to document it. And
Yeah, I
one
would
of the
love to
reasons I
see
want
all
to do
the-
it is for me.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I want to do it for people who wants to do it after me. So I'm going to take pictures, not a lot, because that's not me in general. I don't take pictures, but I will be taking pictures. For example, if somebody inspires me, I want to write down their information and why they did certain things and what they think of life, what's their perspective, and I want to write down everything. And if they allow me, I would love to take a picture with them. And if they don't, that's totally fine. But
Yes.
on my way, I would have a dash cam with the
Right.
voice system, which is a good thing. So, for example, if I'm seeing something, which I regretted when I went to Utah, it was this beautiful view. So when I went to Utah, I turned off my phone cameras. I had nothing electricity with me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to detox. So nothing. And now I regret it because there was one moment that always like hits me really hard, and it was like raining. I cannot even explain it, but I'm like, if I
Yeah,
had a
it's an
video of it,
experience.
yeah, if I had a video of it, I could have just go over and over it and again. And if I wanted to express it for you, I would have just show it to you and be like, look at this. But this time
what the
I would just
nature
have
has to
like
offer.
exactly. But this time I will like click on the like places that is like very inspiring and very good. So I will have like a maybe small documentary out of it.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would love to see
something.
that.
Yeah.
Why did you choose this specific direction? You didn't choose to go to Mexico down, go see, like a lot of people go down, in Americans, they travel down in Chichen Itza, go down to Cancun, like even further down.
I would say that, first of all, right now I'm here and I have the opportunity to explore this. You know what I mean? So I want to explore and I want to see, and I think everybody has like different personalities again. So I don't want to say for anybody else, maybe they rather go to Cancun and have a good time or whatever, and they can totally do it. But for me, I would say it's more of personality thing, because I was thinking like if I can get to know the country, it's like I have been in United States, you know what I mean? I have explored United
Yes.
States, so that makes sense more to me. I wish I
Yes.
could have done it in Afghanistan. Like I would die to do that, but I cannot. I will really die to do that. They will chop my head off. So it's very hard to do it in Afghanistan because it's the security problems,
Right.
the war going on. So it's like different, but I would love to. Like if any day there is peace in Afghanistan, I would explore every single corner of that country. And it's not even about United States. I would like to do every country the same way. And I just don't feel like going to places that already is very popular. It's a kind of like, for example, I did Amsterdam, I did France, I did this, you know what I mean? It's like a kind of checkbox. I did this, I did this, I did this.
I've heard a lot of people go and do backpacking over there. There's a train goes from one side to the other side to
Europe?
Europe. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very popular.
So exactly. So for me, it was like I just want to do something sweet and small and for this country, and why not?
Okay, so I'm gonna expand on the question a little bit, like decision. why did you make this decision, like how you explain. Part of the thing I'm trying to figure like understand and put out there for viewers is decision. Like we make always decision. Was it something like intuition decision that you had to make this kind of when it came down to making the decision that you made, or what was internal understanding, feeling that you had to make this kind of decision to actually get serious and do this?
I was sitting one day and I had $5,000 and I was like, okay, what can I do with this to really feel happy?
You have some wine?
And then I start realizing that why not a trip?
Oh, for her.
Why not a trip? And then from there I start doing the coming back. So it was, I would say, it wasn't that, oh, I was feeling like it for a while. It wasn't like that. It was basically like, okay, now I have the opportunity to do this. And okay, so what it's gonna be? For example, before Louis said that, why didn't you do skydiving or anything else, right? So it's the same thing. I'm like, road trip, because I have done it before and I knew that I want a bigger version of it. So that's why I just chose that.
Awesome. Is this your calling?
Not really.
Not really.
I would say my calling is confidence, happiness. I think everybody looks for that. Calmness, being a better human being understanding. That's my calling. This trip is part of the calling, but it's not.
Do you feel like it's contributing to like a higher purpose in your life?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like a good start for everything, I would say.
I feel like the end of our lives, we all have to face our death. So to me, it's like having lesser regrets, and something that I always wanted to do, or something was important to me or my family or something. I would rather make that come true than think about I could have, what if, have that kind of regret. So I don't know if this was part of your decision making when you kind of is making this to go to such a profound trip.
Not really, no. For me, it was like completely for a selfish reason, to be honest. It was just like, for the first time I put myself first. For the first time I didn't blame anything, I didn't blame anybody, I didn't blame my past.
Yes.
I just was like, okay, it's me, I'm getting 28, I'm turning 28, and I have to do something that is just for me. And I was just selfish. So I'm gonna be selfish for a month, and I wanna just see how that feels, you know what I mean? I don't care about my work, I don't care about who I'm dating, because a lot of girls are, my friends are actually asking me, they're like, okay, so what's gonna happen if you're dating somebody and you're going on this trip? And then I'm like, this trip is my trip.
If he loves me, he's gonna wait for me.
It's not even about him waiting or not.
Right.
It's like, it's my time off.
Right.
And it is really my time off. And what I mean by that is, I don't want to think about my boyfriend, I don't want to think about my work, I don't want to think about my mom, dad. No, I don't want to feel any feelings for anybody else, so I can have my heart open and I can have the whole experience as whole. I don't know if it makes sense, because if you have like certain things tied up, for example, if you're like, oh, I have to do this because I have to keep it shorter because of my boss, I have to do it certain ways because of my boyfriend, I have to do this or whatever.
I know.
it just you don't get the experience to the fullest, you know what I mean? So that's why I was like, even when I'm dating somebody and I'm like, listen, I'm going with open heart. And what I
Right.
mean by that is like, I don't want to hold back. I'm meeting this amazing person and I want to explore him and I want to get to know him. I don't want to hold back just because I want to be loyal to you. And that's the conversation that every couple, I guess, should have to a certain point. Because it's like, it doesn't mean that I don't like you. It doesn't mean that I don't love you. But it's just like, if I'm taking a month of selfish month off, it means that I have to be present and I have to
Yeah.
be there. And if an experience is coming, I don't want to hold back. And if I'm holding back, then I blame you for the whole thing. And then I break up with you for no reason and be like, you
Right.
see, the reason I didn't do this because of you, which the whole point is not.
I'm similar like that with my wife also. We have a really good understanding. We do respect each other's boundaries and like each other's being our own person, you know, like, and then after like you're gone for a little bit, you start missing that person, and then you know you look forward to coming back and meeting them, especially hearing, you know, they're waiting for you, or whatever is the case, if you're going or he. So that's very important point, because a lot of people, they don't intend to do a lot of things because they overthink stuff, and sometimes it's not true.
Go on.
No, nothing. I just raised my hand.
Yeah,
I'm like
Yeah.
yeah. So
I'm the overthinker.
Yeah.
I do.
But
that.
it's so
overthinking
true.
is very important when you're planning something, and then 90% of the time it doesn't happen anyways. So like, what's going on here? Like, should I overthink, or should I only think about what is important, what is necessary?
Yeah, and
But like, we can't help it, right? We're humans.
Yes.
But you have to. I also know today that it's 90% is not true. It's not going to happen.
honesty.
Honesty is
Honesty
the best
is-
policy.
Honesty is very important. Why? Because once you explain all your emotions to the person, there's no misunderstanding. So for example, I'm not saying that, oh, I'm gonna go, something's gonna happen, but it's just for my peace of mind that I let the person know that, listen, if something happens, it's part of my experience, and I want to keep it, and I want to feel it, and I don't want to feel like this guilt and whatever happens, like I don't want to feel like it's wrong, because I know that it's not wrong. And thankfully, the person who I'm seeing is very mature about it, and he gets it. And it's very important to have a partner who understands you for whatever you're doing.
Very.
Otherwise, it's gonna be a mess. You're like, I'm taking a month off, and I'm not, and he's like, well, what does that even mean? So when you're seeing somebody, and when you're with somebody who's like, damn, that's good, go for it.
Nice.
Then you know that it's a good understanding, and you guys know each other. So that's another couple thing that I added.
I took a lot of trips without anyone coming with me from the family, and yeah, my wife was very supportive in
Yeah.
that way. Yeah. So one thing is going to be very important in this trip, I think, that you can maybe like talk about and tell us, the viewers, like how you're going to deal with this situation, because anything as a human that we do, we kind of impact the environment in a certain way, and I know you're very big in that, in environmental, and I love to hear, you know, you're planning, how you're trying to, you know, like organize, like what you're gonna do with the
I'm
environment.
putting so much gas into environment. That's something that is totally fucked up,
Yeah.
but I'm doing it anyways. The reason I'm doing it, I'm really good with the environment, I would say. Like, I take care of a lot of things. I try to be zero waste. I compost, for example. I take care of a lot of stuff, but I couldn't do anything with the gas, even though I could do like this Prius car that would be like half of the gas and it would be like half electric or whatever. The reason I didn't do it, because I was like, I drive every day, or millions of people drive every day. I could have take an action and change it, but then I didn't feel like it, because sometimes when you go to the extreme, you cannot achieve all the experiences that you want in life. So that was one of the reasons I let go of gas, but everything else is actually pretty good. So for example, I would have my bike. I would be biking everywhere, even though I'm taking my car. And
That's a great point.
yeah, so it's like I have a balance, but for daily basis, I don't have a car. I bike almost everywhere.
So when you get to the town, you basically
I bike.
parked.
Yes, I park and I
yeah.
bike everywhere,
Awesome.
which is a good thing. I mean, no matter how much I would say I'm into environment, there's a lot of things that I cannot do, and I don't want to even bother with it, because remember you were explaining it to me, you were like, if you're saving that one bite of food just caring about somebody else, you can just throw that away and think about something bigger, right?
That's true. Very true. It's a mindset, because
Exactly.
like you're always
I
working
start
towards
thinking
something
about
bigger.
it.
you
Yes,
know?
I start thinking about it. I was like, imagine if I wouldn't do the whole trip and be like, oh, my car has a lot of gas and I don't want to give a lot of gas to the environment. I'm holding back from so many experiences, and that was the same. Excuse me,
Yeah.
the same thing that you explained to me.
Everything that we do as a human, as a human in life, it has its own. Like you pay for it somehow, like it's its own pay, like, and sometimes you have to be willing to pay the price to go forward, to get what it's come to you, right?
Yeah.
From this experience, probably some other things gonna come true for you, and but if you don't take the action, the chance, it's not gonna happen.
True.
Yeah. Now that you're going in your trips, we're kind of like hearing expectations. I'm gonna ask you about, like, what are you expecting in the middle of your trip? What do you think it's gonna happen? Because I believe in synchronicity. And do you have any kind of like expectations how this thing's gonna turn out to be? And do you believe in synchronicity?
I don't know what's gonna happen, and I'm not expecting anything. I think that's just like simply me, because you believe in that, and I do understand, because I used to. But what I mean is, like, even when I left Afghanistan and when I came to LA, I wasn't expecting anything. I was just like throwing myself there and see what's gonna happen. And after 4 years now, I'm like, ooh, that was a long way. I have done so many things in 4 years, you know what I mean? So this road trip is the same way. I'm not expecting anything. But once I'm 32, 34, then I'm like, oh, I was 28 and I did a good job. You know what I mean? So I think for me is I'm creating my story to make me smile when I'm older. Basically, that's what I'm
Totally.
doing. Yeah.
Totally. That falls under not having regrets.
Go on.
It's actually quite interesting that you say that you're going into this with no expectation, because, like, I don't know, at least for my part, like, I always have an expectation for every action that I take. Every single thing that I do, I always have some expectation, Sometimes it's met, sometimes it's not, but at the end of the day, I want to expect something. There's something I'm expecting, and I make sure to go into, like, whatever experience it is. I make sure to take the right action and prepare myself to make that expectation happen. At least for me, I find motivation in that expectation. So whatever it is that I'm expecting, that's what motivates me and pushes me to even, take the experience. But I actually find this quite interesting that you're motivated by not having an expectation and just seeing what's out there. So I think that's that's quite of an interesting thing. You know, I'm still trying to wrap my head around that.
I think I was like you. Like, I was always like that. I was always like planning everything perfect, doing everything, and then I became so overwhelmed by everything. So now, I think the whole point of my view changed on Utah trip that I told you. So I went for 11 days and I did nothing. What I mean is like literally nothing. I didn't read books. I was just eating and going to canyons and just sleeping maybe, or just listening to music and just chill. That changed my whole perspective and everything, because I was like, wait, I don't have to have something out of everything. There are certain stuff in life that it's supposed to be.
Enjoy.
Yeah, you're just supposed to enjoy it. You don't have to get anything out of it. So that's why I'm like, okay, I'm not expecting anything, and I'm seeing how this goes.
Even that in of itself, I would still feel like that's an expectation in of itself. Like,
Totally.
like I expect to relax. I expect to just enjoy the moment. That's an expectation for me. Like, that would be my expectation in that case. Like, I expect to just be present. I expect to not having to worry about like whatever it is that I got going.
Yeah.
Back home. So like it's always like, yeah, expectation based, at least for me. So that's
Which I get it.
Which I think
I
that's
For me, it was different. For me, like every time I traveled, I met people. I did 8 times Burning Man trip. Each time I went, it was completely different experience. It was the same trip. It was the same freeway, same road. Each time was completely different. I've met so many people. Some people still I have connections with. Let me drink some water.
Yeah, which makes sense. I think it's your point of view too. You've grown so much. For example, the first time you went, you were completely somebody else.
Yeah.
And then the second time you've grown.
Yeah. I learned to let go of my expectation too, because I realized that each trip is different. No matter how much you plan on these things.
Yeah.
Like I said
Totally.
earlier, 90% is not true.
Totally.
10% could be true. If you have a flat tire, your whole trip is changed, your whole day is changed.
Yeah.
Now you have to deal with that situation.
And then your
So
whole
that wasn't
plan
in your
that you
plan.
did, it's all like fucked up.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. It's like really.
Like one time our car broke down, and I was like, okay, I'm talking to AAA, they're gonna come pick us up. They did. We're middle of nowhere. We're on a highway. There's nothing, no town, 30 miles this way or that way. And then we somehow the tow truck came and found us, took us back. We fixed the car. 2 days later, we're passing from there. I'm looking at my phone to call my wife or something, and like there's no signal. As soon as I got to that point, there's signal, and then the signal disappears half a mile away. Our car broke down exactly where the signal I was like, oh my god, are you kidding? Like,
Yeah.
how are you gonna plan this? Like, can I, if my car is gonna break down, can I have it to break down where the signal is? You know, like, you don't know. Shit happens.
Or and a small example. For example, today, forget about 35 days road trip. Today, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go work. I'm taking off from work at 1. I'm going having this interview at Fairfax. I'm gonna come back to you guys 5. I'm gonna be done. I'm gonna be in Long Beach 7:30. Look at the time.
Yeah.
So only one day, like, it can teach you, like, you cannot plan stuff and you cannot
Not so
expect
much.
stuff the way you see it. And then what happens is, if you're not meeting your expectation, then you become sad,
Yeah.
and that is not okay.
Yeah.
that can happen too. But then there's also, well, there's the initial expectation, of course, but then
Right.
there's also being able to improvise expectations.
You can.
Depending on
I think you will.
depending on
It
what
will happen.
situation you're in, which is something that I do because
Yeah.
at least for me, I need to feel like I'm
So
like there's a purpose.
So what I'm getting from you is like,
Everything to me is purpose driven.
right, purpose driven is very
Because-
important when you're doing business, when you are building something, you have to expect certain time these things
Very
happen
good
and
point.
everything. Like, let's write the invoice at this point. Like, let's collect the money at this point. You know, let's finish the due date before due date time, and on and on. So, but like for something like this, that you are putting yourself in like something bigger than you, where like you're going into the nature, into like God's creation, so to speak. There's no real like you can write, I'm gonna stop this hour,
Yeah.
eat this hour, like I'm gonna the
Very
time
good
stops.
response.
Like you know, I talk about like the time has to disappear so you become perfect. At this kind of trips, there's no
very
time.
good
Time
response.
stops. You can wake up 4 o'clock in the morning while it's dark, start driving. There's no one telling
Yeah.
you don't do this thing.
Yeah.
You can actually do this, you know, like, and then stop afternoon and take a nap. Like, there's no
It's
like,
exactly like
we don't.
that.
It doesn't have to be evening so we can go home sleep. You know what I mean? Like there's
So
no.
yeah, it's like self-discovery. What do you feel like? What makes you happy? For example, if I want to stay, I would stay 2 days in one city. I would stay 1 week in one city.
Yeah.
And if I don't feel like it, I will skip 10 states together and I will just keep driving. It's
Drive
just like
through.
you just go based on how you feel. And if you meet somebody, you want to explore the city with them, you go with them. You explore the city with them. So it's like you don't plan. It's like he responded really good. It's not a business. It's not like there has to be a purpose. There has to be. It's like a self.
The purpose
growth.
is already happening. The day you first mile out, the purpose
That's
already
it.
started.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
I don't know.
I'm excited.
You're not
I-
sure about that.
I still disagree with that.
I know, but
That's
I think
fine.
that's
It's
totally fine. I
completely
think what
good.
happens is he's looking from point of view of like, what's the point? You know what I mean? Because I would ask the same question 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And for example, it's like, how can I put this good together? For example, if I'm seeing somebody and being like, sitting in, I don't want to say anything because everybody's right in their own ways. But if somebody's doing something that I don't believe in, I'm like, what is the point of him or her doing this? You know what I mean? So it's for you, it's the same thing. You don't see point in it because our priorities are different, I guess. And there's a lot of people who would say like, okay, she has the money, she's going exploring, and I don't have the money, for example, to do that. But that's just an excuse that they're making. They can do something small, a small step out of their comfort zone, and they can still be me
Have an
or somebody
experience.
else. It's the same way that sometimes when we cannot do stuff, we just say like, oh, that doesn't make me happy, but you don't know if it makes you happy or not. I already said that, but I would say that if something doesn't make sense of whatever I'm doing, it's just that our priorities are different.
No, it's not that it doesn't make sense. It makes sense, and based on your answers from the previous questions that we've asked, I think there is still like a purpose to this. Even then, like you still have a purpose, and I think that's really the point I'm trying to make. Like, it's always like purpose driven. At least for me, like when the purpose is gone, it's almost like it's just that void, you know, like.
Well, what he's saying, I understand also. Like when the purpose becomes greater than what you're feeling, you take action, kind of like that.
Well, at least
So-
for me, I find fulfillment in purpose.
But that is a purpose.
Yeah, your trip is a purpose.
My trip is a purpose.
It became
But
greater
it's just
than your.
different purpose. For me is I really needed this time off from industry.
Yeah.
I needed to keep driving and keep going and get tired of doing nothing, just driving. And I needed that.
So your purpose is self-discovery.
Exactly. I need like self-discovery.
Yes.
I need exhaustion in different sense. Not
Right.
working in computer and business and
And there you
making
go.
money.
Yeah.
So that's the
Yeah, yeah,
purpose
yeah.
for me. But for everybody else can be different.
Totally. Totally. So I'm gonna kind of bring this to the ending this podcast. But I have one more question that I think viewers probably thinking of is any words of encouragement for those who want to do this, but they're doubting themselves.
Every single person is different. And I would say that word is to find what that word is for you. And if it is, I want to go party. If it is, I want to work harder. If I want to make money. But what I mean is start making action right now and start doing it small steps. The problem is what happens is, for example, some people see me right now this way and they are judging me based on what they see right now.
Yeah.
They don't know how long I have came to get to this point. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, she has the money, she's doing cross country, but they don't know that I've gone through so much to earn this money, and I'm so excited to just have this trip. So what I mean is for them, changing yourself can change everything for you. That is something that I would say. And that change can be something very small or something very big or huge. But you have to start at some point. And most of the time when we don't do it, then we blame things.
Yeah.
Then we are like, oh,
Totally.
she has the luxury of going to the cross country, but I don't have the luxury.
Yeah.
Or we blame people, oh, my parents did that. Oh, I have a kid, or I have a boyfriend, or I have a husband, or I have a pet that I cannot take, or I have so many responsibilities. No, that's not an excuse. Every single person do have responsibilities. Every single person do have baggages, do have stress, deal with so many shit. Yeah, maybe it's less and more, but everybody has certain stuff going on.
Yeah.
But if they are doing it, you can do it too.
What do you think doubt? Where the doubt comes from? We all kind of have sometimes doubt about stuff, but let's say this month I have doubt about something, and then 3 months later, it doesn't matter anymore. I don't know where that doubt went, but people tend to grab on this doubting, and that stops them taking that direction.
It actually I answered it so many times, but
Yes.
do it, you won't doubt it anymore.
Yeah.
Even though you know it, there's no doubt anymore. So for example, I always doubted that I am really bad. I still do actually. I'm really bad at public speech.
Yeah.
You guys should see me.
Well, I think this is gonna help you.
This is gonna help me so much. But I'm really bad at public speech.
Yeah.
So if it's 5-6 people, I start shaking. I cannot talk. I start getting very nervous. And I'm still dealing with it, right? But what I did, I was always doubting myself. I never did it. I never stood in front of people and spoke, but I always knew that I will fuck up if I do it. So what I did, I found Toastmasters,
Nice.
and I just went.
Toastmaster is really good.
Yeah, so I just went and I'm like, hi? I was thinking I'm afraid of public speech, but I'm not.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Because it wasn't whatever I was thinking all the time. And then
Yep.
they were like, you were fine. And then I was like, fuck, I'm fine.
Oh.
I'm okay.
Start believing.
Exactly. So that was the whole thing.
I think that's a really good point. Actually, start believing is what
Yeah,
so important, right?
you don't know a lot of stuff unless you do it. And you see it, you're like, wait, but I had so much fear, but it's not as bad as I thought.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
I was
yeah.
shaking. It wasn't that
Totally.
I was so perfect in front of everybody. I was shaking,
Yeah.
and but at least it wasn't as horrible as I was thinking.
Start believing that you
Exactly.
can do this.
Start
That's
believing.
awesome. So I think we're done with our questions. We're so happy, glad that you agreed doing this, because I feel like we put such a good value out there for
I
people
hope
that are
so.
like looking for this kind of content and like to learn vicariously throughout people that they go through their journeys and everything. So I look forward you coming back in one piece and tell us your experiences, your expectations, how they met, and how amazing your trip was when you come back. And I can't wait to hear all the
Me
stories. I
too.
hope to God, to Buddha, and like whatever people believe in, that you don't have any breakdowns and
Breakdowns are part of the journey. Let's see what's gonna happen.
and you spend your time in experiencing and seeing all this in a human way, and come back with better version of you, and develop your mind into better like amazing person. And you're
Which I already am.
you're already
I'm
are.
kidding.
and we that never stops until we die, right? We can always get more amazing, more beautiful. So thank you so much for like
Yes.
coming. And do you have, Luis, any
Do you have any
closing?
thoughts?
No, I'm actually quite excited to hear and listen, like
Sweet, me
what you
too.
really go through. And I mean,
Me too.
definitely would like to hear
I-
all your experiences, and hopefully we can break them down really nicely so that
Sweet.
people can learn a lot from like everything that you go through.
True.
Yeah.
And I would like to add a little bit,
Yes.
and that's gonna be for every single person is going through different things. And the reason I agreed to do this was just because I know that it might be very selfish and it might be something that I'm doing for myself, but you can take as much as you want out of this for yourself and for your journey. It doesn't have to be a road trip. It doesn't have to be, let's say, whatever I'm doing. It can be whatever you want to do, but you can take like strongest things that you can take out of it. Because for example, if we read books and stuff or whatever we do, I just go through the book and I find like few good things and positive things that helps me out. And maybe you can do the same thing. Maybe in general you don't agree with so many stuff that I said, which is totally fine, because that's my job. I always disagree with people, and that's totally cool with me. But at the end of the day, if you took one thing out of this podcast, I have done my job and I'm happy with it. I'm at peace with it. And there is a lot of people who I'm one of them. I'm always lost. I always want to see people who's doing something different, who wants to do something. So if you're taking anything out of it, I'm super happy with this. And thank you so much, Varouche and
Yeah.
Luis, for having me and giving
You're
me the
welcome.
opportunity to look at everything from like
Yeah.
top
you're
and
welcome.
feeling popular.
Awesome. So, before we end the podcast, one thing you reminded me, I think I want to put out there for people, if you're listening to us for this long, then maybe this is something you have to think about also. So you said one thing that don't hold in, like go out there and do it, right? So I just remember, like, a lot of people, they hold a lot of grudges, a lot of animosities and things in their heart, in their soul, which is we, like, as a human being, it brings us really, really down, and we won't be ourselves when we are in that mindset, in that present. So I think if she has the courage to do what she's about to do, we all have we should all have courage to go and confront that demon, that thing that slows us down and everything. I just wanted to put out there, because like courage is amazing. Look what she's about to do, and then you guys have anything like that, you should consider go and confront that person and take care of your situation. And by saying that, thank you again. It's really amazing. This is Develop Your Mindset podcast, and you guys please subscribe our channel to our social media everywhere and do likes, and we'd love that for you guys to do that. Also DM and leave message, comments, everything. We would love to hear your stories. If you guys have any stories, we're here to continue this off the podcast. If you guys have any questions, anything you want to talk about, email us, and we'd love to see those emails coming in also. Thank you so much.
Develop your mindset.